In a somewhat irrelevant passing statement, Joe Rogan stated, "I might move to Texas if California continues to be restrictive." Now, the media loves taking these passing comments made by Joe Rogan and running with big stories about them. And sure enough, Joe Rogan apparently wanting to move to Texas is breaking news because like numerous outlets have reported on this. Now, of course, I have a video where I've titled it much the same. And I think it's because I actually want to address how the media plays these games with Joe Rogan. They did it with Bernie Sanders. They did it with Donald Trump, sort of. It goes back and forth. But I actually want to point out what's going on in California. Elon Musk said not too long ago that he wants to, that he might actually he might actually move out of California. He may move Tesla's headquarters to Texas or Nevada. A lot of people seem to be thinking that Texas is the right move. California is crippling itself in a lot of ways. They've got this extended lockdown. LA is extending their lockdown. And we don't even know if it's the right thing to do at this point. It may actually be worse. The LA Times has written just this, saying that it's impacting the poor negatively. So why then would they keep, they're going to extend the lockdown indefinitely, they've said. Now, to varying degrees. Some health official in California said they're going to extend it for sure till August. Then I believe it was Mayor Garcetti comes out and he said something like, no, it won't be 3 months. It'll be until we have a cure. To varying degrees. Like we'll be masking and social distancing. You can't cure a virus, bro. There's not going to be a cure for this. What are you talking about? Maybe he means a vaccine. Sure, fine. Preventative measure. But how long will then LA be locked down? And that means people like Joe and Elon Musk and other big wealthy individuals who live in California got to make a hard choice. You want to live in lockdown or do you want to go somewhere free like Texas? Let's read his comments. Podcast host Joe Rogan said on Wednesday he is considering leaving California and moving to Texas because of the Golden State's restrictive coronavirus measures. Quote, "I might move to Texas," he said. "Here's the thing. If California continues to be restrictive, I don't know if this is a good place to live. First of all, it's extremely expensive. The taxes here are ridiculous. And if they really say we can't do stand-up until 2022, I might jet. I'm not kidding. This is silly. I don't need to be here. The only reason why I'm here is because I'm close to people like you. A lot of my friends live here. The Comedy Store is here. But if they won't let us do the store, we can do stand-up in other places. Why would we stay here?" Exactly. I'm in South Jersey. I run my business from home. I got no reason to be here either. And some people have told me it was a mistake to even set up here in the first place because the taxes are so high. Yeah, I've actually been thinking about moving somewhere else. Texas actually does sound good. Although I don't want to be in Central Time, so I'd much prefer to be on the East Coast. We'll see how things play out. But when you have all of these states increasing their taxes, you have to wonder, you don't wonder. I think you would know exactly why they struggle. California has wealth and they have great hype. They've convinced people that you got to come to California. That's the place to be. It's not the place to be. I know. I lived there for a couple years and well, I don't regret it. I had fun, had some crazy adventures, met some cool people, had an apartment burned down. Yeah, fun stuff happens, but it was a cutthroat, very spread out. It's you know what I tell people? California is where you go if you have a bunch of money already. You're successful, you're rich. Yeah, buy your Malibu property and go live on the beach or whatever. But to go there, you get jammed up, you waste your time. Now I think it's not even a good idea to say you should go there if you are successful because we can see what's happening with Elon Musk and Joe Rogan. But I'll tell you where it gets really crazy when we're talking about the lockdowns. After Wisconsin court ruling, crowds liberated and thirsty descend on bars, where the Wild West, Governor Tony Evers says. A bunch of photos are starting to pop up of these states where they've been reopening. In Wisconsin, the Supreme Court of Wisconsin ruled that the lockdown would not be extended. It's like a 4-3 vote. You can see how the average person feels about this as well. Now, unfortunately for a lot of regular people who live in, say, Michigan or Wisconsin or whatever, they don't have, well, actually, Michigan's one of the best examples. The people who live in Michigan can't afford to leave. Although people have been fleeing Michigan like crazy over the past, couple decades, they don't have the money that, say, Joe Rogan does to just up and move. It's very difficult for people to move. I did a story on people who lived in California who had their water taken away. They had well water, right? But their wells went down like 30 feet. And because of the drought, the cities were basically voting to take the water away from the farming areas, which resulted in the farmers digging into groundwater, which resulted in the wells running dry. This is what you get when you live in California, right? And the people who lived there were poor. They had no water, and they couldn't even afford to leave if they wanted to. So what is a person supposed to do? I'll tell you what. My advice, don't move to California. I mean, I'm surprised people are still living there because I've been saying for a long time, if you live in California, at this point, you're nuts. You got to move. I left a while ago for a lot of these reasons. I actually worked with nonprofits dealing with homeless issues in California, and I saw how bad it was, and I saw no end in sight. But let's get off the California thing. I want to talk about what's going on with people wanting things to be reopened. This is a story from Washington Post. They say, on Wednesday night, in the heart of downtown Platteville, Wisconsin, just hours after the Wisconsin Supreme Court threw out the state stay-at-home order, Nick's on 2nd was packed wall-to-wall, standing room only. It was sometime after 10 p.m. when long, cool woman in a black dress by the Hollies came over the sound system. Okay, you know what? This is what I talk about when I say journalists waste time writing novels. I don't care. They say some were clapping their hands in the air, some were fist pumping, a scene so joyous they could have been celebrating the end of the worst pandemic in a century. Instead, as Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers knew, they were just celebrating the apparent end of his power over them, at least for now. Quote, we're the Wild West, he told MSNBC, reacting to the state Supreme Court's ruling and the scenes of people partying in bars across Wisconsin. There are no restrictions at all across the state of Wisconsin. So at this point in time, there is nothing that's compelling people to do anything other than have chaos there. Chaos it was. Chaos? You mean life like it used to be? I understand you've got concerns, but we gotta follow the rule of law on this one, everybody. It would far be it from me or anyone else to advocate violating the law. These governors are violating the law, as we now see. The Wisconsin Supreme Court said you can't do it. You can't. Stop complaining. This is what's funny to me. When the governor says do it or else, the media and the left, they all like, yes, yes, hear, hear, cheer, cheer. When the state Supreme Court says you can't do it, it's illegal, release it, they go, oh no, oh, it's chaos, oh, harumph. How come you're so intent on following the rule of law when the governor decrees it, but not when the courts rule it? Either way, it's the rule of law. I now demand that YouTube not take down, well, actually, I don't know what YouTube's going to do, but I hope that YouTube respects videos that tell people in Wisconsin, you can go out, you can go eat. There are no restrictions across the state. That's apparently what we're learning right now. And you should be happy when you follow the law. If you want to complain and you don't like it, you don't have to go outside. But this is the law and the Supreme Court has ruled as such. Here's what they say. Right after the Supreme Court's conservative majority issued a 4-3 ruling invalidating the extension of the stay-at-home order issued by Evers' appointed state health chief, the Tavern League of Wisconsin instructed its members to feel free to open immediately. With Evers' statewide orders kaput, local health authorities scrambled to issue or extend citywide or countywide stay-at-home orders, creating a hodgepodge of rules and regulations all across the state that are bound to cause confusion, not to mention some traffic across county lines. It's a situation unlike any in the U.S. as the pandemic rages on. But most of all, Evers feared that the court's order would cause the one thing he was trying to prevent, more death. Wisconsin has seen more than 10,900 confirmed cases and 421 deaths. When you have no requirements anymore, that's a problem, he said. We're just leaving it open. We're going to have more cases. We're going to have more deaths. And it's a sad occasion for the state. I can't tell you how disappointed I am. And I can't tell you how little I actually care about what you think. When you come out and say we're doing this, I say okay. You know why? Because we have checks and balances. You want to issue this health decree? Guess what? People actually said okay to it. This was an extension the Supreme Court, shot down. So anyway, here's the point I want to make. California is extending things, right? Here we have this story. LA Mayor Eric Garcetti tells all Angelinos they must now wear face masks when outside as crowds return to reopen beaches. You can't mandate that. You do not have the authority to create these laws. I also find it's really funny that we have anti-mask laws because technically the law states you can't wear masks depending on the jurisdiction. But here's what's really funny. In New York City, for instance, there's a law in the books, like a masquerade law. They use it against protesters all the time. If you're in a group of 3 or more, you can't wear masks. I don't know. It's about masquerade laws like 1800 or something. But it's funny now that they're actually telling people you have to wear masks, but the law literally says you can't. So listen, I don't know about the mask laws in California, but just think about this for a second. Look this up because maybe we'll see this paradox. If the law on the books that was passed by the government says you can't do X, and then a mayor, a governor, anybody comes out and says, no, you have to do X. Who's breaking the law? Which one of those is the law you must follow? It's kind of obvious. Executive decree does not create laws. Executive orders are orders on the executive branch and how they respond to things, not new laws on the books. So if a governor, if a mayor, if somebody comes out and says you have to do it, you know what the problem is? I tell you this, the cops will probably enforce the decree over the statutory law. You know why? The cops don't know what the laws are. You could actually have the law in your hand and they're going to say, I don't care. Executive authority. They say to do it and they'll do it and they'll arrest you. There was a cop up in, I think it was Washington, who spoke out against this, saying, follow the Constitution. He lost his job because of this. They told him, take the video down. He said, no. So anyway, here's the point. Joe Rogan talks about leaving California. And while I agree it's silly that the media wants to overhype a lot of these things, like, oh, well, what did Joe Rogan say? And now here I am doing a video about all of it too. I do it to make the point that Joe Rogan is a high profile individual. I think this is one thing they could have added to the story. When he speaks out as a high profile, wealthy individual saying, I will leave your state because of this. Think about the revenue the state will lose. When Elon Musk says the same thing, think about the revenue they will lose. They've got problems they can't fix, high profile people getting ready to leave, then they don't make money. I'll tell you what, man, I will say this to you, Joe Rogan. There's an opportunity to set up and invest in small towns that need jobs, that need help. You can find somewhere outside of Austin or somewhere. I know he mentioned, I think Dallas was like, bad summers. But I've been looking at towns that need rejuvenation. Why do I want to be in, I'm in the Philly suburbs. Why do I want to be in a place with heavy taxes and stupid lockdown orders and things like that? I can just move. I can go find a place that needs a revitalizing industry. And I can go there, and as I seek to expand and do the news division, the fact-checking division, I got a bunch of plans, a bunch of stuff in the works. I can start hiring people locally. And that sounds like a good idea. So think about it this way, Joe. You got an opportunity. If you end up moving, you can, well, I hope the people who do work for you, can sustain their employment, maybe come with you. But think about the opportunity you can provide to these smaller towns that need help as their industry fades. You can, not only that, you'll revitalize a whole area regardless. You could buy a house in the middle of nowhere and then industry will start growing around you if you have the resources to do so. That's what I'm interested in. Kind of just like finding a place, finding people, the prices may be going down, the houses are going down. It's an opportunity for investment, man. And you can bring these jobs back to areas or bring jobs to areas that need it. We'll see how things play out. Stick around. I got one more segment coming up for you in a few minutes and I will see you all shortly.